Good morning, Malta, Gozo, and everyone else tuning in from around the world, and welcome to another episode of Lovin Daily. My name is John Sapati. Today I'm joined by Tim Diacono, and these are your 5 headlines for today. Keith Schembri has been hospitalized with an aggressive brain tumor. Malta starlet Destiny rocks up to the Eurovision dress rehearsals in new silvery outfit. Former president says fibromyalgia and ME should be recognized as disabilities. The Malta Football Association has shut down the Ta'ali pool due to financial difficulties incurred by the pandemic. And Malta gets its first solar footpath to power the Rabat Promenade. And make sure to stick around to the end of the episode where we have a special interview with Lynn Faure Chircop, a former PL candidate. Tim?
So yes, as was revealed yesterday, Keith Schembri, the former Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Joseph Muscat, has been hospitalized with an aggressive form of brain tumor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was already absent from certain court sittings in relation to money laundering cases due to a serious condition, and we can confirm that this is in fact a brain tumor. Now, Keith Schembri has survived cancer scares in the past. This isn't the first time he's faced it, but this does seem to be quite a serious condition now. Like, no matter what, at the end of the day, this is somebody's health we're talking about, right? And I mean, it did sadden me a bit to see some comments like taking the mickey out of it.
Yeah.
And it's not something funny. It's a sad aspect of life, and
absolutely, he's got a family and he has children and whatnot. And
yeah, I mean,
stuff, so
like, no matter, obviously, like, justice should play its course, absolutely, and even for the sake of the nation, the whole truth should be known, but not to a point where you wish, harm on other people.
Absolutely, no, it's a sad situation to see. Obviously, we wish him speedy recovery and condolences to his family, of course, during these difficult times. Moving on to our second story, Malta's young Eurovision starlet Destiny really took the main spotlight yesterday in her second dress rehearsals when she showed up in a new silvery outfit, but still sporting the same hot pink boots. Malta, all eyes were on Destiny yesterday as she showed up to her dress rehearsals, which she spoke after saying was a massive success. She was saying how confident she felt, how great she felt, even in a new outfit. And it really was a new look. People really welcomed. However, although she did make it back to the top of the Eurovision bookmakers' odds in number 1 place overnight, she slipped again down to 3rd place, with now France and Italy above. So Destiny now, or Malta now, has a 14% chance of winning according to bookmakers Eurovision, to win the Eurovision. Although I'm still quite hopeful that Destiny can put on a spectacular performance when it comes to the actual Eurovision Song Contest next week. I think her song Je me casse has what it takes to win. And if she does win, Destiny will be the first person to win the Junior Eurovision Contest as well as the Eurovision Song Contest. So it'd be great to see that. But Destiny is looking in, high spirits, fully confident in herself, and I think we all are too, that she has what it takes to win.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be a case of, close, but no cigar, or we're going to actually win it this time? I mean, there's a lot of variables to take into account. I mean, I wouldn't take the odds market so literally, seeing as they keep changing so from one day to the next. There's a lot of variables. It's probably going to be quite a close call by the looks of it. And yeah, best of luck to Malta. And let's see Destiny bring it home.
Absolutely.
Moving on, former president of Malta, Marie-Louise Colero-Preca, has become the highest profile person in the country so far to call on the government to recognize fibromyalgia and ME, both chronic pain conditions, as disabilities, and that would entail giving these sufferers the benefits and grants that people with other disabilities currently receive. Now, it's quite a tricky debate because there seems to be a lot of people who suffer from it. There's an estimate, say 4 to 6% of people in Malta suffer from from one of these two conditions. It was about thousands. However, doctors are still a bit unsure what way to classify these conditions, and in fact some people refuse to diagnose it, so it's a bit of a tricky situation. I think now, though, that the Fibromyalgia Alliance has conducted a very strong social media campaign to raise awareness about this issue. Now we expect the health ministry to comment, right? I mean, either he hasn't said yes or no so far. One would expect, like, if it's a financial issue, come on and say it. And let's take it from there, but don't just ignore it.
Absolutely, no.
Especially there are thousands of people.
Exactly, thousands of people, like you mentioned, who are affected by this. I mean, in 2019, the Maltese government did announce some sickness benefits for fibromyalgia and ME sufferers, which was hailed by many in the community as a first step towards some form of recognition. However, the Alliance warned that in practice, the benefits they get come to around €100 a month, which is nowhere near enough to cover medication, supplementary treatments, and doctor's appointments that come with it. So, like you mentioned, if it's an issue of finance or whatnot, either way, the health ministry should come and come forward and make a statement about it, so people can at least be more clear about what's going on. Moving on to our fourth story of the day, the Malta Football Association has shut down the Ta'ali pool, to a lot of people's dismay, in fact, citing financial difficulties incurred by the pandemic. So during an executive meeting earlier this week, the MFA decided to endorse the decision to shut down the pool, with President Bjorn Vassallo claiming that the facility was just not financially viable for the association to maintain. You've got to understand in this context that the MFA is a private entity and obviously has its own financial burdens and financial costs to maintain and to look after. And with everything, or at least organised sports, indoor pools closed for the better part of 2 months now, in what was a year of a pandemic where there were so many disruptions to the Football League, to the association, to sports in general. It just didn't make sense for the MFA financially to keep the pool open, and a decision was made to permanently shut it down. Obviously, a lot of people were upset by this. A lot of people commenting online, including quite renowned local triathlete Fabio Spiteri, saying what a shame it was, and how sports, once again, shows how sports is considered to be not important in this country. Not due to the fact that MFA shut it down, but just in general that the subsidies given to these organizations, sporting organizations, is not enough, and it results in cases like this where one of the few good indoor pools the island has to be shut down. A lot of people are upset, and rightfully so. This pool has been there for the better part of 20 years. A lot of people used it to train, and to see it. One of the consequences of the pandemic, is that our sporting community has suffered a lot. And it's a shame to see, especially in a country where you see there is a lot of talent and a lot of potential, and people are willing and hungry for it, but the support just isn't there.
It's not just about the support. I think this is one of the real, obviously there is a support aspect, but this I think is also one of the main problems with policies of lockdown, right? So it's not just about putting everything on pause for a few months and then everything will return back to normal afterwards. Although it's not the way the world works. Unfortunately, some entities, some things won't survive the period of lockdown. This is why there was a bit of a backlash to it, because of these real effects that unfortunately we're now starting to see. And finally, some positive news. Malta is about to get its first ever solar footpath. A new promenade that is being built in Rabat. It's the concept is quite simple in scope, right? It's basically like a small PV panels inside the pavement. You can walk on them, but these panels will absorb sunlight, which we have plenty of, and will power some of the street lightings and the electricity in the area. Now, the Transport Minister in board said this is going to be the first of other solar footpaths that we're going to see in Malta. I hope there's going to be quite a lot of them, right? It makes perfect sense for the country.
Absolutely, like you said, if there's one thing we don't lack in Malta, it's sunlight. We have great weather all year round, and to utilize the energy from that for these small initiatives and these ideas, as simple as it may sound, it's hugely beneficial for the environment, and it looks nice, it feels nice, it gives a good vibe to it, that we're utilizing these renewable energy sources. So I definitely hope to see more of these in the future, and definitely. With that being said, this brings us to the end of our new segment, but make sure to stick around because we have a special interview with Lynn Faure Chircop, a former PL candidate. But before that, here's a quick, short 15-second clip of Lovin Malta.
In Malta, we don't say.
Welcome back to Lovin Daily. With me now is Lynn Faure Chircop.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lynn, a former candidate for the Labour Party who recently decided to drop out. Lynn, thank you very much for accepting this interview on Lovin Malta. So let's start with the main crucial point. You decided to enter politics, but you're one of the Labour Party's newest candidates. Shortly after you decided to leave, what happened?
And somehow I didn't enter lately and I left lately. I've been involved in policy making and the drafting of policies and contributing and working with the government for these last 16 years. So I've worked under different governments and I've seen myself grow in a sense that I've always been interested in policy making. And recently, of course, the political scene has been so interested in women. And there was this urge, and I feel I was lured into it, but consciously, because I wanted really to learn more about the dynamics, the structures of a political party, and I joined the Lead. And this was an opportunity for me to learn about those promises which the political parties make prior to an election. And sometimes they do ignore those kind of promises, or there are some changes to those promises, and other times you see that these were well developed in the best interest of the national interest rather. So my interest in politics didn't start and end. I'm still interested. Maybe the partisan political scene wouldn't be ideal for me at the moment because I feel I'm still young, still growing into it, and maybe there are some values and principles which I've been brought up with which are not that straightforward at the moment within the political scene. Mm-hmm. We've seen people who challenge politicians and they do come up with a straightforward question. And sometimes that straightforward question, not sometimes, I think that it is in the national interest to give a straightforward answer. And I am a straightforward person, and being part of a club, I do respect the rules, I do respect the procedures, and I am not that hard-headed as maybe some people would like to think of me, that I would like to change the rules to suit my interests. I have no interests. I joined to give service, be of service, and this is what I intend to do. Being inside, outside, within a voluntary organization, through my professional line as an advocate, through my contribution as a public employee. So
yeah. So let's be a bit straightforward. As you said, like you had posted the video to Facebook, and you said that you were disappointed that the Prime Minister didn't take certain concerns that you raised seriously. So what were these concerns?
No, the Prime Minister didn't take into consideration. I'm sure that in a experience we've had a pandemic and there were certain other priorities. But I tend to see, of course, the niche where it comes to child protection. And this is my specialization, and everybody is attached to something which he values in life, you know. So I think that this pandemic took away a lot of resources and a lot of human resources which we could have dedicated towards the interests of other sectors, other people, vulnerable people in need. Of course, this is the ideal world. So I am in no position to discourage or to shed a bad light on the way things have been done, but there is always room for improvement. So maybe if my voice have served for this, to shed a light on certain areas which needed to be given more, you know, we could have been more preventive rather than now coming to a cure and having to treat the problem.
But like what exactly? Was there some certain policy that you were pushing forward and the Prime Minister said, no, I don't want to?
No, not the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, let's make a distinction. It's a Prime Minister who has the national interests and the obligations are specific. And then there is a party, which is the head of a party, who has other...
so the party didn't take it?
The party has its own manifest, and the party has its own party line and agenda, which I believe, for me, at the time being, I contributed as much as I could. I think I did give a good contribution, and this was acknowledged even by the president of the party, and she also thanked me for speaking out and giving a different perspective maybe to some other solutions which weren't being given enough weight to safeguard the interests of all family members, all the persons who could be affected by a decision, whatever it is. It is in principle, I believe that when you take a decision, it's not only the taking of decision, it is safeguarding the after effects. You have to give weight on the effects and the people who will be affected by that decision.
But just to clarify, you left not because the party didn't agree with you on
I think they did agree.
No, exactly. So they did agree.
I should be happy that they did welcome my contribution as they are doing, and as there are other similar contributions ongoing on media portals nowadays, which are also voicing the same concerns.
So the Prime Minister had said in public that he's going to meet with you to discuss all of this with you. Did this meeting ever happen?
That was quite a political sort of. I had a phone call from the Prime Minister's wife asking me to meet her, and as a person I admire. Of course, on a personal level, there are no hard feelings. And of course I accepted. But later, during the day, on a TV program, I learned that the Prime Minister, I mean, it was an invitation by the Prime Minister. But I wasn't in that moment in time ready to speak about politics, you know, so maybe there was a mixed message which could have been avoided in my opinion. But I do not think that it was bad intended, you know.
Labour's parliamentary group at the moment is about to discuss how to vote on a private member's bill presented by Lynn Faure Chircop on the decriminalisation of abortion. How would you encourage them to vote? And how would you have voted if you had got into parliament?
It is difficult to say how I would have voted because I'm not there. So I am now representing the bigger picture, and the people outside who are voicing their concerns, who have different opinions. Everybody's relevant and everybody's opinion is valid, and some are suggesting a referendum. And I think that it wouldn't be a bad idea, personally. But when it comes to the concept
on decriminalisation or legalisation.
When it comes to decriminalisation, in principle, I do agree. I agree that there is a structure, a legal structure, which gives an opportunity to the vulnerable person, to the people who are suffering, the people who have a justified cause, to be given a justification and to be given a way out. And this should be the prerogative of the government, because the government is there for all the people.
Yeah.
For all the people, by the people, for the people. So give the people not what they want, but what they need. And this must be the crucial fine line, which sometimes we overstep. We go for what people want. We go for, as a government, we go for what is well researched, what is in the best interest of the individual, what is the best interest of the national interests of the people around that individual, and we have to look out for the future consequences, because today we are giving somebody what he wants, and tomorrow there might be another person related or the bystander whose needs we are neglecting.
Okay,
so,
but do you think that abortion should be a right in Malta that people should access if they need?
Decriminalisation is not giving a right. So this is why I'm saying, in principle, decriminalisation is giving an opportunity to somebody to have an alternative when there is no choice.
Okay.
No choice. The pro-choice and the pro-life are secondary, as in my concept of thinking, in my principle, in my value, in looking at life being sacred, and life has to be also preserved. But on the other hand, there is, as an advocate and as a legal practitioner, yes, I wouldn't want to see one person neglected when there is no other choice. Mm-hmm. But we have to explore the choices. It is, we do not leave a person, a vulnerable person, take a decision without having an obligation to provide every other alternative or solution available.
Yeah. And what about the cannabis reform? Like, should people be put in a vulnerable position because they smoke a joint and we have to face legal consequences?
No, that is the decriminalisation concept, which in principle, as I said, in decriminalisation, it is also justified for somebody who is charged for murder or is accused to have murdered somebody, but then it results to be a self-defense. So the actual result is the same. Somebody has been killed, you know, but then the process and the investigation would have led the judiciary, the tribunals, the external impartial system, which would assess the why and what has led to that conclusion. Okay. So then he would be justified and he would be dismissed.
Should there be a referendum on this like there should be on abortion?
I think it is quite a sensitive and personal decision, but on the long term, there is also long-term effects which one has to carry. The government needs to be not proactive in this regard, but cautious, preventive, and take all the preventive measures before trying to find the cure.
Yeah. Finally, just to wrap this up, the Eurovision is coming up very soon. Destiny is currently in Rotterdam doing a couple of rehearsals. Do you think she's going to win, first of all, and what do you make of this whole debate about what she's going to wear?
I have full confidence in Destiny. She's young, she's high-spirited, she's determined, she has her own convictions, and she's a good person as well. So I feel, who am I to judge, a good and a bad? Not in that way, but I feel that she has good intentions to make something good out of what is perceived as artistic and sometimes, very individual and very personal. She is giving out a message, and she is making use of her talent to contribute and to help others and to motivate others and to empower others. So to that, kudos, Destiny. I wish you luck. All the Maltese are supporting Destiny, and all the world is, because she's now all over the world, all over the media, and people have opinions, but after all, it is a constructive way when one takes up that opinion and constructively takes it on board to grow. It's her personal growth and in her personal interests to enjoy criticism.
Lynn Faure Chircop, thank you very much for accepting this interview.
Thank you
very much for following Lovin Daily today. Make sure to follow lovinmalta.com for all the latest updates on what's happening in the country, and have a day full of lovin'.